Is it working? Are we live? Can you hear me? Can you see me? It's all loading. Oh. Is it working? Are we going? I can't tell. Right. Okay. I'm going to need to ask someone, one of the leaders who's technically competent, can you send an email out to the whole group again, the group that you received the email, just to send the link out again? I have no idea what happened then. I hope it will carry on working. But welcome to the Gathering Quiz Night. It's the first one of 2021. Happy New Year and all that good stuff. We're going to have to get cracking. Right, say hi in the chat if you are here. Say hi in the chat. Tell me where you're from and how you're feeling this evening. I'm relying on people sending out this link. It seems to all still be working. Oh, I've got to close that. And then I've got to open that. Oh, dear. This is complicated. Right, make sure you've got the answer form open. Make sure you've got one person who's ready to fill out all the answers. Remember, there's no cheating, obviously. Please don't cheat for this quiz. And frankly, some of the questions, you won't be able to cheat for them. Alrighty. Just resizing everything. There we go. Right, who's saying hi? We got hello from Nailsea Baptist Church. Hello, Nailsea Baptist Church. St. James's Church in Trowbridge. Say hi. Oh, they said hi again because of the old stream. Grace Church are here. Fantastic. You've been regulars from the start. Oh, dear. One from Corsham. I'm going to get laughed at by the young people in my own youth group for saying that. But there we are. Welcome, guys who are joining us from there. Again, do say hi in the chat if you've just joined. It helps me to know how many people are actually here and whether or not we can get started with the quiz. Oh, I'm getting text messages from people that indicate that they don't know what's going on. Isn't this all going so well? Just going to text someone. I would email this link out as well, but my computer is hotter than the sun, so it would be good if someone else can do that, because I think even opening up my emails will break it. All right, Grace Church, say hello again. Skirting Board Films. What an interesting name. What an interesting username, Skirting Board Films. Oh... again, yeah, so can someone send out this link again to the email group? And if you've got anyone's phone numbers from the other groups who you know are going to be joining in, just make sure they know what's going on. St. George's Wemden, say hi. Hello. Hello from T2 at Widcombe. Hello, T2 at Widcombe. How are you? St. George's Wemden. Well, that's where our interview is from today. Isn't that exciting? I'm getting texts from Simon Dowland from Headley Park Church at the moment. Widcombe has entered the group chat. So melodramatic. Hi from Transformed at Widcombe. Hello. Welcome. Right, we will start the quiz soon. Unfortunately, you're all going to get slightly less time because of technical issues. I can only apologise. I have no idea what happened. Oh dear. Right. Nice super noodles, Aaron. Actually says super foodies. These are goji berries because I'm so healthy. Route 66 Chippenham, say hi. Hello, Route 66 Chippenham. And remember, when you're using the answer form, and one person in your team will need that answer form, put in a good team name, because the best team name will get points. And yes, it is down to me. But, I judge blind. I don't know which team name's getting put in. I am a healthy lad. Thank you. Village have joined. Fantastic. Good to have you again. I don't know how long to leave this until we start. I think there's just a couple of churches we might be waiting on. I assume Matt from Grace Church is watching. Has someone sent out an email? Can someone just confirm if an email's been sent out? That would be really helpful. Kensington Baptist Church are trying to join. That's always good. Baby Yoda says hi. Grogu says hi. Oh, that might be a spoiler. Never mind. It's been out for... It's a bit quiet, but that might be us. Anyone else think I'm a bit quiet? I can turn it up if need be. You don't really want to hear my voice. Right, we're going to give it... I'm going to give it 2 minutes, and then we're going to have to get cracking. Because we're already behind. Right, who else is saying hi? This is the way. This is the way. I'm enjoying these references in the chat. This is great. Yes, I'm quiet. Okay, right. Ooh, nearly spilt my cup of tea. I'll turn myself up a little bit over here. Hello, I'm speaking. Right, let's try that, shall we? Hopefully that's a bit better. Hi from North Bradley. Hello, North Bradley. How are you? Seems a bit strange saying hi to a place. Crispy clear. Better. There we go. Oh, it's all improving. Right, 1 more minute and then we're going to be starting the quiz. Make sure, again, you've got one person in your team who's filling out the form. Come up with a good team name. Make sure you don't accidentally submit the form until the very end of the quiz, which will be after the interview. I'll tell you when to submit them. Otherwise, I'll get really confused when I'm marking everything. And as we found out a couple of quizzes ago, if I get confused when I'm marking, I forget to announce the results of one team. Right, we're going to give it 30 seconds. 30 seconds, and then we're going to get cracking. And if any churches join late, I'm really sorry. There's so much excitement in the chat. Woo! Oh, that was a bit loud. Baby Yoda says hi again. What's my name? Oh yeah, what is my name? Hi, I'm Aaron. My name is Aaron. I work at Bradley Stoke Evangelical Church. Not North Bradley, but Bradley Stoke, kind of north of Bristol. Here we go, Kensington Baptist Church are in. That's good. Right, my name is Aaron. It's my pleasure to welcome you to this first gathering quiz night of 2021. Thank you, Matt, for sending out the email. We're going to crack on with the quiz. Here we go. All right, here's how tonight's going to work. We're going to have rounds 1 and 2, and then we're going to have our interview intermission, which this time comes from St. George's, Wemden. Then we're going to have rounds 3 to 5. That will be the end of the quiz, and only at that point will you submit your answer forms. Then we're going to have a talk from Tom from Whitcomb Baptist. Then you're going to have 10 minutes for discussion about the things about the talk, and then we'll do the results, and we'll see who wins. Hi from Scoobed Grace Church, Bath. Hello, is it Scoobed? Am I saying that right? Scubbard? All right. Right, here we go. Round 1, make sure you got your form open. If you don't have a copy of the form, start yelling in the chat and I'll make sure you get it. Okay, round 1 is a say what you see round. A say what you see round. Here's an example of how this round is going to work. So you're going to see 2 pictures, and the 2 pictures together will add up to a word. And in this case, the example, there's a hand and there's a bag, so the word would be handbag. All right? That's how this round is going to work. So you need to say what you see. Not all of them are as obvious as this one, as handbag. And I will give you a few little clues along the way. Okay, here we go. Round 1, question 1. Say what you see. And in case this is too difficult, I'll give you a clue. This is also the name of a film. I'll give you 10 more seconds. All right, here's question 2. No, I'm not going to wear a cap backwards, chat. And no, I'm not going to tell you all the answers. Say what you see. And you got 10 more seconds. Okay, there's some strange suggestions in the chat at the moment. Right, question number 3. Say what you see. And I'll give you a clue. Think about what the top picture is doing. I'll give you 10 more seconds. All right, here's the next one. Question 4 of round 1. I'll give you a clue. For the top one, think about numbers. Right, 10 more seconds. All right, question 5 of the first round. 10 more seconds. Okay, question 6 of the Say What You See round is that or that? Ten more seconds. Okay, question 7. The Say What You See round. I'll give you a clue for this one. For the bottom picture, think about the English word that we might use. Yeah. Ten more seconds. And question 8. Give you a clue for this one as well, because this is a tricky round. The size of the pictures does matter for this one. Ten more seconds. Alrighty, question 9, a totally non-controversial one. I'm not making any political statement. Say what you see. Ten more seconds. Oh, you want a clue for this one? Huh. There's a famous film about the bottom picture. Not that specific thing. A very famous film with a bicycle. That's probably too much of a clue. Ten more seconds. The last question of the hardest round of the quiz. Don't worry, it gets easier from here. Is this one, for the sake of political balance. Okay, 10 more seconds. You want a clue for this one as well? Instrument. Five seconds left. Okay, and that is the end of round one. Now that is a tricky round. That is the hardest round of the quiz. I will assure you of that. It gets easier from here on in. But yes, hopefully you're at least able to get some of those. And when we do the answers later, I'll show you the pictures and explain them. Shouldn't take too long. Okay, right. We'll move straight on to round two, which if you're the person doing the answer sheet will mean you need to click on next page, but don't submit the form yet. Okay, and the round two is the A to Z round. We've had this round for the last few quizzes. In this round, if question one begins with the letter A, then the answer to question one begins with the letter A, then the answer to question two will begin with the letter B, and the answer to question three will begin with the letter C, and so on. Okay? So if 1 is A, 2 is B, 3 is C, so on and so forth. If an answer is Z, then the next one will be A. Okay, so wraparound alphabet. Hopefully that makes sense. We've done this round before. I recommend you write down the questions because you might not know the answers or not be sure, but then once you've figured out which letters are which, you can go back and figure out your answers. So make sure you write down these questions. Right, question one of the A to Z round. Which flavour of Walker's Crisps is the most popular in the UK? Which flavour of Walker's Crisps is the most popular in the UK? Ten more seconds. Okay, question two. What is it called in tennis when both players have 40 points? What is it called in tennis when both players have 40 points? 10 more seconds. All right, question 3. Aubergine is known by what other name? Aubergine is known by what other name? I'll give you less time for these questions. 5 seconds. Okay, question 4. In what country was cannibalism common until 1871? In what country was cannibalism common until 1871? Five seconds. All right, question 5. Who was the grandfather of Queen Elizabeth II? Who was the grandfather of Queen Elizabeth II? And I am looking for a number as well. That is important. Okay, question 6. We've got to speed up a bit. What does the H stand for in NHS? You're only getting 10 seconds for this one. Question 7. Your front teeth are called what? Your front teeth are called what? Five more seconds. Okay, question number 8. A person who rides in horse races is known as a... Five more seconds. All right, a physics question. The kind of energy related to motion is... The kind of energy related to motion is... 'll give you 10 more seconds on that one. Okay, and question number 10. A division of soldiers in a Roman army was called a... 10 more seconds. All right, and that is the end of round 2, which means we're coming into the interview, which, as I said earlier, this time comes from St George's, Wemden, has been recorded for us. A reminder, don't submit your form yet. There's 3 more rounds yet to happen, but I do hope you'll enjoy this interview.
Oh, hello everyone. I'm Emma and this is Emily and we're from St George's, Wemden. Good to see you all. So Emily is a fellow leader of mine and I'm going to be interviewing her. Emily, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Hi, I'm Emily and I'm 26 and I'm a law student. So yeah.
Brilliant. Well, we're thinking a little bit about being in COVID again, in lockdown, and feeling very disappointed and maybe feeling that Jesus has disappointed us. You've had a bit of a tough time in lockdown. Can you tell us how your lockdown's been?
Yes, so it's been, apart from COVID, because there's a lot of craziness going on around, but on top of that, my family's just been kind of going through quite a few things. Bless my mum, she had a really bad fall and we were so concerned about it because she knocked her head, and she's also been diagnosed with Meniere's disease, so that's a constant like buzzing in her ear that affects her eyesight, and she's dizziness with vertigo and everything, and she's suffering with that as well. And then a couple of weeks ago I was diagnosed with tinnitus, which is the same like buzzing in your ear, which is completely constant and it hasn't stopped, and it's affecting my sleep. So I'm probably getting 2 to 3 hours sleep a night. So it has been a difficult time at the moment. So yes.
Yeah, sounds really, really tough. Thanks for sharing that. So are there times where Jesus does seem disappointing for you, Emily?
I think I'm more really disappointed like with the circumstances. I think like in the past you think, oh my goodness, like why is this like happening to me? I've been faithful, I've loved you with all of my heart, and you just don't seem to understand why these difficult things are happening, because we see in the Bible, we see these incredible miracles on every level happening, from people being healed, from people being resurrected. And even today, we see miracles happening around us and God answering prayer. And you just can't, it's hard to understand why it's happening. We're praying, we're being faithful. And it's just so easy in those difficult situations, those seasons of trials and hardships, to think that God doesn't love me, or God isn't near, or God is just not listening to me. He's just not understanding me. And that's really not the case. And it's the complete opposite, in fact, actually. And
well, yeah, tell me about that then. So are there times when the gospel, when Jesus has felt really precious to you?
Yes, definitely. It's in those like trials and hardships and the difficult seasons, like what we're going through, is where like Jesus is so close to us. It's like the gospel, like my Bible is my lifeline, it's my hope, it's what gets me out of bed each day. And if we look at the cross, like Jesus dying on the cross shows that God might not always change our circumstances, but it shows that there's a plan and a purpose in it. And it just gives us hope, and knowing that even though I might be going through a difficult situation right now, I know that God has got me and there's a plan and a purpose in it, and it'll be for my good and bring him glory. I've just got to completely trust in him. And it's like I'm currently just like in the waiting period. So if we look at the Easter story, you have Good Friday and Easter Sunday, Resurrection Sunday. And we always look at those two, but we never really focus on the Saturday. And that's like the waiting period, because we know what happens at the end. Jesus rose again. There's that moment of waiting for when God will deliver us out of the situation. So it's in those moments that we've just got to really lean in, draw near and close to Jesus, just trusting in him, knowing that he will bring us out of this situation. And it may seem dark at the moment, but we know that he will bring us into the light.
Oh, brilliant. I was going to ask you, how does Jesus make a meaningful difference in your day-to-day? But you've sort of answered that, haven't you, really? Tell us about your exam and what happened and how Jesus made a difference.
Definitely. So this is probably one of the hardest exams I've ever had to do, and it's a really important civil litigation, and you have to just remember so much. And the night before the exam, because I haven't been able to sleep, I've been on sleeping medication, and that tries to help me to get to sleep. But I was only told to take half the dose because they said that you probably won't be awake during the exam if you take this medication. So I took half the dose, and then I just couldn't sleep properly. And so I got to like the exam in the morning, had it all set up, and I just had a peace about it because I knew that like whatever happens, God's got me. I just got to trust in Him. I'm going through this difficult situation where I feel like there's one thing after another, and I've just got to just really trust in God. And it came to starting the exam, had everything set up, and I was doing my exam in the church hall, like the church office, and it's peaceful and quiet in our village. But next door, they had construction work. So as soon as I started typing, this, I think it's called like, it's a rheumatic drill or a jackhammer that just digs into the concrete. And that was constant throughout the whole exam. Well, I think I had 5 minutes of peace where I was like, it stopped, and then it just started again, and I was like, God, please just give me peace. And then the connection went, and my exam just froze, and I had no way of contacting anybody, and I was like, please God, just give me peace. I know you've got this, just I need to just get through this exam. And I was just like, God, like, and once it was done, I was like, thank you, God, for getting me through it, and it's in your hands now, and there's like nothing else I can do about it, and just whatever happens, whatever the result is, I will praise you, God. And like, even if it doesn't make sense, I'll just continue to praise you because you know what's best for me, for my future.
So it was great to have Jesus, knowing that you could speak to Him, knowing that He was there and He was doing good to you, even when it felt as if it was going wrong.
Definitely. And when it made no sense.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Emily.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye.
A big thank you to Emma and to Emily for recording that for us. Some really helpful stuff there. And of course tonight, as you can see behind me, we are asking the question, what's the point? And sometimes it feels like Jesus has disappointed us. We might feel let down. Well, Tom's going to be doing a talk for us later on that topic, but that's a really helpful interview. Some helpful stuff in there. Easter Saturday, and thinking about that day, I think that's a really helpful point. It's good to know that Jesus is for us. Right, we're going to crack on with this quiz. Otherwise, we're going to finish way past 9 o'clock. Now, the next 3 rounds only have 5 questions in them. I'll try not to rush too much, but here we go. We'll move on to round 3, and round 3 is the animal kingdom. Alrighty. So make sure you've got your answer form ready. And here's question number 1. Which animal has poo that is cube-shaped? Which animal has poo that is cube-shaped? We really do go from the sublime to the ridiculous on these quiz nights. I'll give you 10 more seconds for this question. Okay, question 2. Which animal can travel the fastest? Which animal can travel the fastest? Ten more seconds. I'm being asked in water or land or air in the chat. I'm asking you which animal can travel the fastest, full stop. Oh, question mark, actually. Okay, question number 3. What is the largest animal in the world? What is the largest animal in the world? Ten more seconds. Okay, question 4. Is the Chinese giant salamander a real animal, or is it one that I made up? Is the Chinese giant salamander a real animal, or is it one that I made up? Ten more seconds. Okay, question 5. Which species of animal has the most teeth? Which species of animal has the most teeth? I'll give you 10 more seconds. Okay. And that's the end of round 3. Just 5 questions in these last 3 rounds. Now, if you've not had a shout out yet in the chat for your church or your youth group, then now's the time to get in the chat and tell me your name, tell me where you're from, of your youth group, and I'll give you a shout out, because it's good to have so many different churches joining us for the Gathering Quiz Night, so many different youth groups. It's exciting. Right, we come on to round 4. And round 4 is the connectable round. So in this round, the first 4 questions will be 4 normal questions, but question 5 will be, what connects the previous 4 answers? So while you're answering questions 1 to 4, you need to be thinking about what is it that connects these answers together, and that will be your answer to question number 5. Make sense? All right. Oh, here we go. A small part of Oswestry. Am I saying that right? Probably not. Venture Camp here. Nice to have you with us. I'll keep doing shout outs. Right. Question number 1 of round 4. Which language is spoken by an estimated 952 million people? Which language is spoken by an estimated 952 million people? I'll give you 10 more seconds. All right, a shout out for the Corshamites, they're here. The Baby Yoda kids are here. Kensington Baptist Church are here. And, yes, Bradley Stoke Evangelical Church are here as well. That's my church, their building that I'm in at the moment. Question number 2. Hmong, Garbanzo, and Great Northern are all types of what? Ten more seconds. All right, here's a question for you Disney fans out there. Which character sings, "I think it's time that you and I arranged a heart-to-heart" in The Lion King? Which character sings that line? Five more seconds. Question 4, can I do a boogie for CBC? You're welcome. What is the name of the only venomous snake native to Britain? What is the name of the only venomous snake native to Britain? Might be a surprise, but we do have one. All right, and then question 5 of round 4 is what links the previous 4 answers? What links the previous 4 answers? And I'm going to give you 20 seconds to try and answer that. But of course, if you've got those answers written down, you can come back to that question if you figure it out. Okay. Now, before we come on to the talk this evening, while we were having a planning meeting last month, I think it was, Simon from Headley Park, James from Kensington, and myself came up with the idea that because we're doing What's the Point this evening, that's the question that we're going to be asking in the talk in just a moment, we thought we would have a round which is called What's the Point? And in this round, you will be showed pictures which are going to be super zoomed in to something to do with points or pointing or point, okay? And you basically need to tell me what that thing is, all right? So it's a zoomed in question. Tell me what it is. So here we go. Round 5, question 1. What's the point? What is this thing? You shouldn't need that long on that one. I think that one's quite easy. This next one, however, is a bit more difficult. Question 2. What's the point? Ten more seconds. All right, question 3. What's the point? Okay, question 4 of round 5. What's the point? Ten more seconds. And the last question of the quiz. We're already there. Last question of the quiz. Oh, I've had a boogie bomb thrown at me. What's the point? Okay, 10 more seconds. And that is the end of the quiz, right? So now is the time for the person who is filling out your form to submit your form. Oh, I'm getting a call from. That's very strange. Right. Yes. Now is the time for you to submit your forms. So please do that. And let me know in the chat when you've submitted your form, because there's a certain amount, and once I've got over 50% of them, I will start the talk. But because I need to mark this, I've only got a little bit of time. I don't want to start it quite yet. Oh dear, I'm getting in trouble with my own young people. What are they saying? They're saying, oh, sorry guys, shout out to my favourites. But, Great, okay, here we go. We got a few submitted. It's good. Thank you for the apology for your Groovy Youth group. I like it, fair enough. Okay, let's see. See how many we've got so far. Oh, fantastic. I think I have everyone's. So at this point, I'm going to hand over to Tom from Widcombe Baptist Church, who's going to be doing the talk for us this evening. Big thank you to Tom, and I hope you listen closely.
Hey, it's great to be with you tonight. My name is Tom and I work at Widcombe Baptist in Bath. Now, I don't know if you or any of your friends have ever considered doing a gap year at some stage. Maybe a year of exploring, of gaining experience, or just a break to consider life a little bit more. Where would you go if you were to do a gap year? I did one. I actually came here to the southwest of England, and nearly a decade later I've not yet left. But tonight I want to discuss with you another possible destination, a place called Corinth. We're talking 1st century Corinth, about the time where Christianity started. Let me give you a rundown about this city. It was a centre of travel, so you could go from there to explore all kinds of other places. It was a centre of culture, the sort of place an edgy band would go on tour. And it was a place where you could find anything you wanted. For entrepreneurs, this was the perfect place to set up a business. For pleasure seekers, all the indulgence, the sex, or anything else you wanted were there. For thinkers, the best universities and institutions were there. For spiritual-minded people, there were great temples and shrines. Now, I don't know what today's equivalent would be. Maybe it would be a sort of a combination of Las Vegas, Cambridge, and Ibiza. See, Corinth was an amazing place. It was incredibly vibrant. There was so much going on. And tonight we're looking at a letter that Paul sent to a church in Corinth. In fact, a few years earlier, he had set up this church. And now he was writing a letter to try and help them out. Can you imagine living in this thriving metropolis and you're part of a church? But to be honest, the church is a bit small, maybe a little bit disappointing. And the world around is so busy and so exciting. I think it's quite possible that if we were there, we might start asking questions, saying, well, all this stuff about Jesus is great, but to be honest, compared to the energy and the life all around us, this Jesus thing just seems a little bit disappointing. And we're going to come to what Paul says in answer to that in just a moment, but before we think about that, I'd like for us to do a bit of a life evaluation together. I guess if you're hearing this, you've been along to your youth group a fair amount. Maybe you're even a regular at church. And I'm guessing that over that time you've heard quite a lot said about Jesus. If not, by the way, you need to get on the case of your youth leader. That is not acceptable. But stop and think for a moment. What do you actually think about everything you've heard about Jesus? It's very possible that some of us have the same sort of questions as the Corinthians. What's the point when Jesus seems so disappointing? After all, he's just maybe a guy from 2,000 years ago. What's so special? Maybe it's other things in life that seem more real and more important even, more fulfilling. Your friendships, your studies, that special relationship. Or maybe today you're just excited to one day get out there and explore the world. Or perhaps for you it's in comparison to some of the tough things of life that Jesus just seems a bit disappointing. Who could have imagined the suffering and the difficulty that the last year has brought? Or maybe it's hard to see the point of Jesus in comparison to particularly hard things that have happened to you. I don't know how you evaluate. But there have been times for me where in comparison to everything else going on, Jesus just seems a bit disappointing. That's our question for tonight. What's the point when Jesus seems so disappointing? In the face of this question, what does Paul say to the Corinthians? Well, if you want to follow along, the passages in 1 Corinthians and chapter 15. How does Paul respond to all this disappointment about Jesus? Well, he writes, "Let me now remind you, dear brothers and sisters, of the good news I preached to you before. You welcomed it then, and you still stand firm in it. It is this good news that saves you if you continue to believe the message I told you. Unless, of course, you believed something that was never true in the first place." Paul wants to remind them of the message he first brought to them, the message they received when he set up the church. He says, this message and this message alone saves you. But then he raises a bit of a question. Unless, of course, you believed something that was never true in the first place. Do you see what he's saying? This saves you unless it's all made up. Paul's leaving them with a simple question. Either the message about Jesus saves you and literally changes everything, or it's made up and totally pointless. Imagine hearing that if you're in Corinth. Maybe compared to the excitement all around, the message of Jesus seems a bit dull. And Paul's response is either it's all true and it's totally life-changing, or it's a total waste of time. There's no middle ground. See, ultimately, Jesus can't just be disappointing. He's either totally amazing or he is the biggest fraud in human history. So what is this message about Jesus, Paul? What about Jesus do you want to tell us? Well, this message comes in the context of our messy world. When we look around at the world, we see all kinds of problems, not least the pandemic. But all those things are just like symptoms of what really goes on inside us. See, all of us have got caught up in a mess that we can't fix. It's like we're in free fall. Have you ever seen someone jump off a 10-meter diving board? Or maybe you've done that. See, once you've jumped, you're going to hit the water below. There's nothing you can do about it, but for a short time you're in free fall. But even in that moment, you know you're about to get very wet. It's like that with God. All of us have turned our back on God. All of humanity jumped away from life with him. And it's like we're in free fall. We're heading for disaster. We're heading for an eternity separated from God. Just like if you jumped off that high diving board, there's nothing you could do to stop your fall. But Paul says someone else can. That's what his message about Jesus was. He says in verse 3 of chapter 15 of 1 Corinthians, I passed on to you what was most important and what had also been passed on to me. Christ died for our sins, just as the scriptures said. This takes a bit of explaining. What does it mean that Christ died for our sins? When he says Christ died for our sins, he's saying that Christ did what we could not do. We were in free fall. In fact, the whole world is in free fall. That's why we see so much evil and suffering only getting worse. We were heading for disaster because of our sin, our rebellion against God. But Jesus stepped in and took our sin on himself and dealt with the consequences so we would not have to. He takes our place. He takes the fall so we don't have to. He takes the eternity of separation from God that we deserve, as he was separated from God his Father at the cross. And notice this was all according to the scriptures. This was no surprise. It has always been God's plan to save the world. The whole Bible up to the time that Jesus came is pointing to God sending a rescuer to save his people. And then Paul continues, he was buried. He was put in the ground. Jesus really was dead. In fact, the Roman soldiers who put him to death, they themselves were professionals and would have been executed if they'd failed to kill him. He was buried, and, Paul says, he was raised from the dead on the third day, just as the scriptures said. And he was raised. The proof that Jesus really dealt with our sin is that he rose again. Instead of going into an eternity separated from God, what you could call eternal death, because there is no good thing apart from God, no enjoyment, no celebration, no pleasure. Instead of that, we might have life. And what's the proof we can have life? That Jesus came back from the dead, so we may have life, and life in all its fullness, in all abundance. This year in the UK, we've seen terrible things. 100,000 people have died of COVID, on top of the 600,000 people that die in a normal year. Maybe this year we're more aware of death than we would normally be. I know that most of us here are young people. We don't think about this much, but yet one day our time will come. We will all die. I know we don't think about it much, but it is of utmost importance. If our life is without Jesus, then it's in free fall with only one destination. But with him is the opposite. It's an upward journey. We can have the joy of getting to know God better and better throughout our lives now, and one day to be with him forever when we are resurrected from the dead, just like Jesus was. And we'll get to see that day when Jesus makes the whole world brand new, full of amazing things that will never spoil and wear out. I know that we might look at the Christian message sometimes and say it's dull, maybe a bit old or dusty. But if this is true, then this is anything but dusty and old. This is not disappointing in any way, shape or form. This is life for you, life changed now, and life forever. And all that feeling of free fall that we have now, the uncertainty, the anxiety, the difficulty, the asking why, the message of Jesus is that he stops the free fall once and for all. He repairs our relationship with God, and we can live a whole new life. That starts today and one day will be fully realized in eternity. That's the big message that Paul brought to the people at Corinth. Yes, maybe they thought Jesus was a disappointment, but Paul wants them to know if this is true, then it changes everything. And so we're back to that big question, unless, of course, you believed something that was never true in the first place. The question is this really true? Well, Paul offers an answer to that as well. Verse 4, he writes, he was buried and he was raised from the dead on the third day, just as the scriptures said. He was seen by Peter and then by the 12. After that, he was seen by more than 500 of his followers at one time, most of whom are still alive, though some have died. Then he was seen by James and later by all the apostles. Last of all, as though I'd been born at the wrong time, I also saw him. Paul tells the people you can go and speak to the people who saw this. People who saw Jesus alive, risen from the dead. In fact, he says, most of the people who saw this are still alive to tell you. You can go and check it out with the real eyewitnesses. If Jesus rose from the dead, then we need to be sure, because that changes everything. So how can we know? See, these people who saw Jesus alive again are dead now. Fair enough, the guys at Corinth could have asked them, but where can we go? The simple fact is that no one in history has been able to discredit the claims of the resurrection of Jesus. If the claims about the resurrection had been disproved, the church would have disappeared into nothing straight away. But instead it grew so fast that it covered the whole known world within just a few hundred years. Why did it spread so fast? Because these eyewitnesses really existed. Their testimony was compelling because these events really happened. Jesus rose from the dead and it truly changed the world. Most historians, even today, agree that the life of Jesus was the single most important event in the history of the world. But most of them struggle to explain why an apparently missing carpenter from Israel changed everything. You see, we might look around at the world and feel like it's in freefall. We might even look at our own lives and feel like they are in freefall. But Jesus offers something truly incredible, a restored relationship with God, new life and certainty for your whole eternity. This is why the message about Jesus changed the whole of history. This is why the message about Jesus has changed my life and millions of other people's lives. This is why the message changed your life. I know there are lots of distractions around, and I'm sure there were lots of distractions at Corinth, but this is real, and Jesus really matters. My question for you tonight is, do you know him? Do you know Jesus today? We're asking, what's the point? Well, he's the point. Today, as with every day, he changes everything. Do you know that for yourself? Do you know him for yourself? Thank you.
A big thank you to Tom for preparing that talk for us. Right, now you've got some discussion questions to do in your group. Apologies if there are some connection issues there. There'll be a timer on the screen and the questions will be on the screen as well. So you've got 10 minutes and then when we'll do the answers and the results of the quiz, and it's close.
Hey.
Okay. It's time to do some answers. If you bring your discussions, you can round them off for now. You can come back to them in a minute if you want. So that we can finish quite quickly, there is a tie-break for first place. So I need every single team to choose one person from their team to write in the chat, first of all, their team name and then their answer to this question. So one person from each team must come into the YouTube chat, write their team name, followed by, in the same message, their answer to this question, which is, how many words are in current use in the Oxford English Dictionary? How many words are in common use in the Oxford English Dictionary? So I need one person from each team to put the name of their team and their answer to that question. How many words are in current use in the Oxford English Dictionary? Okay, and the closest answer of the teams that are tie-breaked will win. Okay, while those come in, I will go through some answers with you. Round one, I've got the pictures on the screen. This was, of course, Frozen. Huh? Frozen. That was question one. Question two was pen, sill, as in pen and windowsill. Question three, this one was a hard one, but it's laptop, because the line is lapping, and it's the top of the mountain, laptop. This, to or by, and then it's bull, it's Bible. Question five is can, and this guy looks bored, so dull, it's candle. Question six is web, site. Question seven is toilet. Most of you got that one, toilet. This was microwave, because it's an ant, which is a very small thing. This is trumpet, as in Trump and E.T. And then this one was banjo. No entry, ban. Vote Biden, Joe Biden. Banjo. There we go. That was the scores, or the answers, sorry, for round one. I can see your answers coming in the chat, and that's good. I'm glad to see those. Right. Round two. The most popular flavour of Walker's Crisps is cheese and onion. When both players are on 40 points in tennis, it's called a deuce. Aubergine is also known by the name eggplant. Cannibalism was common until 1871 in Fiji. The grandfather of Queen Elizabeth is George V, not George VI. That's the Queen's great-grandson. What does the H in NHS stand for? It stands for health. Your front teeth are incisors. A person who rides a horse in a horse race is a jockey. The kind of energy related to motion is kinetic, and a division of soldiers in a Roman army is known as a legion. Round three was the animal kingdom round. A wombat has cube-shaped poo. It's been in the news recently. The animal that travels the fastest is the peregrine falcon. The largest animal in the world is the blue whale. I did not make up the Chinese giant salamander. That is a real animal. It's mostly blind, but it's a real animal. Lives underwater, but doesn't have gills. And which species of animals has the most teeth? It's actually snails. They've got thousands of them. All right, round four, the connectable round. The language spoken by 952 million people, estimated, is English. Hmong, Garbanzo, and Great Northern are all types of bean. The character that sings "It's Time that You and I Arranged a Heart-to-Heart" is Zazu. And the name of the only venomous snake native to Britain is the blackadder. And the link of the four answers was Rowan Atkinson. He played all of those characters. Johnny English, Mr. Bean, Zazu, and Blackadder. And then round five, and I've got the pictures for these. Here you go, you can see. It's a safety pin. It was scissors. It was a cactus. A hedgehog. Not a porcupine, a hedgehog. And a laser pointer. Okay. Those are the answers to the quiz. It's time for the results. Okay, Joint last place, but thank you for joining us. But joint last place on 22 points is the Nailsy Ninjas, and so will you. In 8th place with 23 points, there were 13 teams. No, sorry, 16 teams that took part, by the way. Not 13, 16. But because it's all joint, I'm kind. 23 points is Team Baby Yoda. On 24 points were the Kensington winners, Scoobed and We're Late. I'm sorry that you were late. It's probably my fault for messing up this tech. And then we jump up to 27 points. We have 2 teams on 27 points. It's the St. James's Bible Bees and Best Name. No, you didn't get points for the best name. On 28 points was the Great Northern Twinkle Toes, which I thought was an excellent name. On 29 points was Route 66. And on 30 points were the U-turns. And then we have 5 teams joint for first place on 31 points. Those teams are Llan something or other, Hanford Parish Council, Bumblebee and the Transformers, Missed the Beginning. You did very well for the fact that you missed the beginning. And SS Great Praise Him. And I gave the best name to SS Great Praise Him because I thought that was a very excellent name. So I need to figure out which team got closest to the correct number. Okay. It's not them. It's not them. It's not them. Give me a second. I'm doing this on the fly. Ooh. Ooh. Okay, we have a winner. Let me just double check that. Yeah, we do have a winner. Okay, right. The actual number of words that are in current usage in the Oxford English Dictionary is 171,476, which means that if my calculations are correct, the winners of this month's or this half-term's The Gathering quiz is Hanford Parish Council. Very well done to you for getting so close. You were within 4,000. So well done to you, but well done to everyone, and thank you for taking part in this quiz. Round 1 was difficult, but lots of you did very, very well. It's wonderful to have you with us. Another thank you to Tom for doing the talk for us, and again to Emma and Emily for recording the interview for us. We do hope you'll join us for the next Gathering quiz, which is on the something of March. I can't remember what it was. Sorry about the technical issues, but well done to everyone. All say hi in the chat, and my youth group is sad at me because I've not danced for them. So you get a little dance, guys. You are my favourites, although I'm not allowed to say that before I mark a quiz, because that wouldn't be fair. Right, it's wonderful to see you all. We'll see you soon. For now, goodbye, and God bless.